Hi, this is Sherry from SherryLouMiller.com. And here on my YouTube channel, we discuss the M.I.C.A.H lifestyle, mindset, intentional choices, actions, and habits. So today I have a guest. Patty has joined me. We're childhood friends. We have literally known each other our whole lives because we grew up next door to each other. So today we're going to discuss her journey from being in debt to debt-free and the mindset behind her money mindset. So I'll let her introduce herself and kind of just briefly go over her journey, and then we'll go more in depth.
So like Sherry said, my name is Patty, and she and I have been knowing each other.
Losing the audio again.
Actually, and disagree, but I in Jeffrey. Can you hear me now?
It's better. I'm just going to keep going and we'll see how it plays out.
Okay, so start over?
Go ahead. That was better. Yeah, that was better.
Okay. So should I start over though?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so like Sherry said, my name is Patty, and she and I have been knowing each other literally all of our lives. We grew up living next door to each other, and we actually enjoy talking about finance. We don't always agree, but the topic is still extremely interesting. So I had in debt for years, just, young and naive, not paying attention to interest rates. I just spent, I bought what I wanted and really didn't think about the interest rate. Fast forward till I had a child, and I had to figure out a way to send him to college without either of us going into debt. And I decided to cut back on some things. So my debt started, I finally got out of debt in 2007. I decided that I was gonna discipline myself enough to write a budget, live off of a budget, which I had never done. And I just figured, you get paid, you're entitled to buy yourself something, which I believe probably half America thinks like that. You work, why not enjoy your money?
I work every day. I should be able to have this.
Exactly. That's the thing. So I made it a point to, I was about 20,000, at least between $20,000 and $25,000 in debt. And so I said, I'm going to put $1,000 a month. I'm going to go grocery shopping. I'm going to cook, and I'm not going to use a credit card for anything. And that's what I did. And I managed to pay, and I paid my credit card. I consolidated, which I had done over the years, and it failed. But this particular time I consolidated, and I said, okay, this is what I'm going to pay every 2 weeks. I'm not going to pay it once a month because interest accrues. So if I can bring the balance down bi-weekly, then that would put me in an even better position. So I decided I was going to pay $1,000 a month. That's $500 a check. I was going to direct deposit. I wasn't going to leave it to my own devices to actually write a check and mail it because I didn't think that would work. It hadn't worked in the past. This particular time I was going to have an automatic deposit of $500. When I got my income tax, as much as I hated to do it, I put the entire, which was about $3,000. That hurt because I was used to going shopping on that $3,000. So to have to put that on, and I gradually saw it. I would use my bonus from work, and I gradually saw it going down. That when it got to under $10,000, now I'm pretty excited. In the meantime, my son was still in grad school. I decided that my car was paid for, so I would add that additional $300 to the $1,000 because I would have had to be spending that anyway, and I got no fault insurance. So I took the difference from that, and I put all of this on the credit card, and I was out of debt in about 19 months.
Okay, so let's pause there. So, because I want to comment on a few things. Okay, so in 2007, Deontay was already grown.
Yeah.
So you were sending him to college without taking out any type of student loans?
Absolutely not. I refused. I did not want him to go into debt. My parents did it for me, and I just didn't want that for him.
So you guys didn't you didn't take out parent loans? He didn't take out any loans?
Oh, no. I had decided years ago when I understood what a parent loan meant. No, I'm not. No,
I'm still paying on parent loans. That's why I asked.
Exactly. exactly. No, I did not take out a Parent Plus loan. And I remember one year when he was doing an internship in his last year in undergrad, I was low on cash, and I had him sign for a $2,000 loan so that he could stay up on. He had one car, he needed mine to go to work. So I had him sign for it, but then once I got my bonus, I paid that off.
So I just want to back up. So when were you 20 to 25,000 in debt? Like when Deontay was a baby?
Oh no, I was probably 25. Let's see. He graduated from South around that time, 2004, somewhere in there. I was in debt while he was still in college. So he had just started college.
College got scholarships?
No, I paid for it.
Cash. I'm like amazed because I don't remember where he went to school, but Courtney went to Eastern, and she was 2005, so I think she's a year behind him.
Yes. Or maybe two. No, maybe two.
Okay, so she graduated in 2005, and it was, I think, 15 a year.
Right, that's about right. About $13,000 to $15,000 a year.
Yeah, so you did good to pay off your debt and put him through school and not incur any additional debt. Like, we need the applause sign.
I feel pretty good about it, Sherry. I gotta say that of all the things that I'm proud of, that is one. Putting him through school and getting out of debt.
Yeah, because that's good. Because I tell people, like, I'm like the thing outside of my children that I put myself through school without graduating with debt. I have debt now, but when I graduated from college, I didn't have debt. And so I tell people I'm most proud of putting myself through school. That's one of my biggest accomplishments. But so we're going to go back to, I was kind of trying to jot down notes before we move on to the thing. So would you have considered yourself like an impulse buy? Like, is that how most of your debt came, because you were buying things on impulse?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, some people think, you know, you get depressed, you go shopping. I wasn't like that. I just went shopping because I wanted to go shopping.
I was an emotional.
It was no rhyme.
I was.
Right. It was no rhyme or reason. I just wanted a new pair of shoes, and so that's what I got. It wasn't because I was feeling down or anything, and that made me feel better. It was emotional shopping. I just wanted to do it, and never thought about the long-term implications that it would have. My credit wasn't bad because I did pay my bills, but I had so many minimum payments that I was doing, and so when you think about those minimum payments, you got 10 credit cards, because that's Winkleman's, Marianne's, all of these department stores,
and the stores are worse.
You have all these different. Yes. So I did not during this time. Let me just say, I was able to do all of that too, because I have a wonderful man who said, don't you worry about taking care of all of that, and I will buy your groceries. Now, he didn't pay for my bills, because I don't really like people paying for my bills, because then I feel like you got a little control over me. So I pay my own bills. So I know most people wouldn't think like that, and they would be like, just let him go ahead. But that's what I wanted to do.
I don't know if I would or not, because if nobody's ever offered to pay my bills.
I heard that. So he did, and in the meantime, I stuck to my plan of getting him through school, and then he said he wanted to go to grad school. So I was like, oh, okay, well, like,
you didn't tell him on your own now.
I did not. I said, I told him, I said, I don't have any more money, baby, but if you do, I will pay half of grad school. And then once he got in grad school, he was doing well, and he had a 4.0. So then mom steps in, and she's like, you know what? It's going to work out. Everything else has worked out. I don't know how I got him through undergrad with no debt. So this is going to work out too. And I was fortunate enough to get him through grad school with no loans.
So when did he graduate, get grad school? Like what, 2008, 9?
I believe it was 11.
Oh, 11, okay.
Yep, he
I
had a
was
little
just
bit.
adding the math, like 4 years undergrad. Yeah, that
Right.
was 2008 undergrad. So yeah, you're right.
Thanks.
So you started living on a budget. Did that
Yes.
last long? You still on a budget, or you didn't live on a budget?
Oh, I am absolutely still on a budget. My worst thing is buying shoes. DSW, that's the worst thing they could have did, was built a DSW at the bottom of the hill. So that is really my only fetish, is buying shoes. I would rather I will drop 5,000, 10,000 on a vacation before I just go to the store and just buy clothes.
Yeah, I have somebody else's like that with shoes. I'm not like I wear my Converse everywhere I can if I do. Those are my
Oh,
go-to. I got like about 5 pair.
okay.
Um, I shop at the outlet for them because they become,
Nothing wrong with that.
they're trendy, so the price has gone up. Like
Right,
everybody wants to wear Converse now.
right.
But you said, let me see. So you had said you consolidated your debt, which I've done too, and I know what you're saying. Like I consolidated, but I don't cut up the cards. So now
Yes,
you got the consolidation, and if you're still charging, now you got those too. So did you do that?
exactly.
Yeah.
I consolidated and used one card. I cut the other ones up. I sent letters to the creditors to close those other accounts so that I wouldn't be tempted. And the funny thing is, I used to sign up for credit cards that they gave you a free t-shirt. I mean, it was just craziness. Like not even paying attention to the interest rate. Really? I got a credit card because it said Wayne State alumni. Really? Didn't even the interest rate probably was, at that time 15%, but I didn't care. I didn't know, and I didn't care.
Yeah. So did you see? Because if you close the accounts, your score should have taken a hit. Did your credit score take a hit?
No, a lot of people told me that would happen, but it didn't. It did. I didn't really even pay attention to my credit score until one day, Houston and I were going to open up a joint account at the credit union, and they gave us our credit score, and at that time it was like 832. So and even then I said, oh, what's the highest? I mean, I just didn't know. I figured anytime I wanted to purchase something, I was able to purchase it. I really didn't pay attention.
832, I'm sure you were.
Well, I didn't know exactly, but I didn't know it was 32.
What's the highest?
832. 850. Right. And so the last time I checked mine, which I check it now more often, and it's 845.
Well, you don't have to be rich. Like I'm set up for Credit Karma, I think. So they send it to me. But at your credit score, you don't really have no reason to check it.
Okay.
You can buy anything you want. You ain't gonna have no problems.
So I can get another pair of shoes, you saying?
You can get quite a few pair of shoes.
Thanks.
So the other thing, so you said you had 20 to 25,000 in debt. Like, was it all credit card debt?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't, like I said, I paid my car off. I believe he was still in grad. He was in maybe just starting grad school or somewhere. And then once I paid the car note off, I think that's what kind of put me in a better position, because my car note was maybe $350. So that was an extra $350. And you know how you go to all these seminars, I don't want to name them, but you go to these seminars and these financial planners tell you to the difference that they pretty much want you to consolidate, and the difference that you would have been paying, say you would have been paying $500, if all your bills still came up to $700, you would still put that additional $200, so that you would still, because when they give you a minimum payment, it really doesn't benefit you. So you always need to pay more. And I'm not just talking about rounding up to the nearest dollar. I mean, you really need to round up to the nearest $100, or even try to double it if you can.
Yeah, and most people can. So, I mean, because most of the time when people are using credit like that, they're living paycheck to paycheck. And you have to figure out, you got to start eliminating stuff to really to do it. And like I downloaded, I used to use the Snowball. I mean, what's his name? Dave Ramsey has kind of like made that really popular, but it's been around for a long time. Because then, well, I don't know if you know how it works. Like you pay off something, and you don't adjust your budget. So if you were paying $50 to Winkleman's, when you pay Winkleman's off, you take that 50 and put it on Mary Ann's. And then when you pay Mary Ann's off, you take the 50 and the 25. You know, you just keep a budget.
That's yeah, I did that.
Okay.
But I did that at one point in my life. But when I finally did it for good, I consolidated and decided this is how much money I'm going to put on the credit card.
You put it in one bill and just paid it.
I put it in one bill.
And that's probably the best. But like I said, depending on, because your credit score was probably higher by then. Like some people, depending on their credit, they can't get.
They wouldn't get a limit. They wouldn't get a limit that high.
They wouldn't get a limit that high, and they may not even get it approved at all, just depending on where they are in their finances.
That's true.
You know, because So now you're debt free.
Yes.
Deontay's out of college. So is this when you transition over to the prepaying your bills?
Okay. So prepaying my bills, so a lot of
financial. I got a question. Is that when you kind of transition to that?
Absolutely.
So wait a minute. So since you went to all those seminars, I don't know what seminars they were, but
no, I didn't go to any. I didn't go to any because I may have gone to one and I realized what they were all about, and I just figured if I could, I can do that on my own because a lot of it is just discipline. Like, why do I need to pay you to show me how? Like, if I have to have somebody show me how to get out of debt, then I'm going to get in it again because, it's like these debt consolidations. They pay your bills off for you. Well, if I need you to do that, I'll never get out of debt because I don't know how to do it. I'm dependent on someone else.
Well, it's just not even the mechanics of it. I tell people it's the mindset. Because even like myself,
exactly.
Like I kind of did like you a couple of times. I consolidated, but then I ended up having to use the cars for something.
Exactly.
So until you really get to the mindset like you were, where you no longer wanted the debt and you go do whatever you have to get out of the debt, until you reach that point, most people, including myself, you're not going to get out of debt. Like, you have to get to that point. And I agree with you because I have a couple of friends. There's a network marketing company that supposedly improves people's credit. And I told them, you can write those letters yourself. Like, why would you pay somebody?
Exactly.
Because the company is not obligated to take that off your credit report. It doesn't matter who the letter comes from. They're not obligated to do it.
I agree.
I have to ask, so you at least went to one seminar and you probably read some things, I'm sure. And most people say like you should have an average of 6 months in the bank. Living expenses, I think it's 6 months, something like that. So so I guess, because I wrote this down because I want to make sure I asked this. So as opposed, because it sounds like you could have saved up to 6 months and put it in the bank. Like, why did you decide not to do that as opposed to just prepaying them? Just to keep the 6 months handy, like everybody says, have 6 months living expenses, in an account.
Because I thought it would be too tempting to still have it in the bank. And so I've always, anything that I've wanted to do, I've always set up individual accounts. So I have an account. I had an account that said education. I have an account that says wherever I'm going. It just doesn't say vacation. And so I put money into that like that. And then my bills, I got started with that because that's what Houston did. And so I thought I'd try it. So I was only maybe
I thought you converted him. He converted you?
Yeah, he converted me to paying on he converted me to paying on things for the whole year. So in January, we multiply the bills times 12 and pay everything up. And so that means you're always ahead. But initially I wasn't there because I didn't have that kind of money. Yeah. So I would just pay 1 month, pay like a month and a half. If I got my bonus or something, I'd add 3 months on to each one. So now I don't have any credit card debt. So all I have is my mortgage, my utilities, and cable and things like that. So I don't have any department store debts. Right. So once I got myself like say 3 months in advance, so come January, now I'm ahead 3 months. And I thought, okay, well, maybe let me try another 3 months. So I gradually got to the point where I was paying stuff up a year in advance.
Okay, so I don't know why I thought that you said like it was the other way around. You got him to do that.
No, he started it.
Okay.
It was, I didn't want to do that. I really didn't, but it works for me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does. It seems to work for you guys, but I was wondering because almost, you know, almost any financial person you listen to will always
Yeah,
say like you should have at least 6 months living expenses set aside. Most people
right,
don't, but that's like the rule of thumb. So I was like,
right.
why they didn't go that route? Just sit 6 months aside, and and you have it if something happens like what we're going through now.
Right. Well, I still think like that. I still have the 6 month saving, but I also have my bills paid up for the year. So I do agree with that.
I'm
And
back.
I still, right. I still have that. But like we're always talking about generational wealth, and what motivated me to even start this. Like the few people that I do talk to, they're like who does that? Why, and who does it, and why? Would you want to do that? But
I'm one of them.
for me, right? For me, I just think I have this fear of just not having enough. Even with my retirement, I'm almost obsessed with building my retirement, and so every time I think of, even with the pandemic, I'm still in a panic, and I know that I'm ahead, but I'm still in a panic because I'm thinking I may run out, and so
And I read an
that's
article yesterday that basically said that I think it was either on money.com. It was like one of those financial websites. I don't remember which one. And it said that it was like, we're going to use you as an example, that even people who are basically financially secure, that they live a scarcity life because they have this fear that there's not enough. And it's good that both of us are on here. And then there's the person like me who technically probably really doesn't have enough, but I'm not concerned.
right,
I mean, I'm concerned that I'm
right,
here now and I want to enjoy my life now.
right,
And I don't think you shouldn't have anything. And I think it's just a choice. Like for
right.
me, worrying about having enough, it just keeps you in that space.
It does. It absolutely does. I find myself always in I'm always having anxiety issues about it. And so you and I had discussed the challenge. Uh, and so that was difficult for me to not be able to either
Did you do the
talk
second
or
one?
think. I did not do the second one because I barely made it through your first challenge.
Well, you decided to do the second one on your own, and I kept forgetting to ask you, like, if you had done it.
Right. And you didn't ask, and I didn't volunteer.
I was so impressed that you did as well with the first one because
I
I
know
expected you
I
to
was
give him a
pretty
lot more
impressed.
money.
Yes, I was impressed myself, and that's why I was sending you follow-ups about it, because that is how I live my life. Like, okay, you got this, when you get paid, this is what you got to do with this. I mean, that's just how I thought. And so anybody who even talked to me about the slightest bit of their finances, that was my conversation. Like, come on now, we getting close to retirement. You do not want to be, I mean, I'll share some of my cat food that I don't own a cat. I'll share it with you, but we really need to get on some type of plan to be in a better position. I know that money doesn't make you happy, but it won't make me unhappy. The lack of it. So I'm just gonna
Not
make
making
sure
you
that I'm in a
unhappy,
position.
but the fear
No,
of not having enough is causing you anxiety.
it is. You're right. You're right.
And
And
so,
I try not to.
so are you better like mindset wise after the challenge? Because the challenge was I can't remember exactly. It was like every time you started discussing not having enough, is that what it was that you had to pay?
Right. Every time I mention to Houston that I start even talking about money as it related to not having enough. And I owed him a little bit of money, the first couple weeks, I must say. And so he was looking forward to it because it's like, come on. So he would like try to, encourage me to bring it up so that he could get this money. But I fooled him. I got on board. I got on board eventually. But so I was doing fine. I really was, for the most part. And then this pandemic comes up, and I'm
Okay,
just
so
like
before the
back in panic mode.
pandemic, because you did the challenge right after Christmas. Was it right after Christmas?
Yes, because we're gonna start it. Yes.
Yeah, so before the pandemic hits, because that would have really probably been like mid-March, I think, when it
Yes.
kind of started getting bad. So in between there, had you somewhat changed your mindset or had you reverted back?
Oh, I had reverted back. When I had reverted back. That's what I'm saying. When they got to that point, I'm like, oh shoot, you don't know what's going on with the job, and yeah, I had
No, now I'm
reverted
talking
back
about
by
before the
then. So now
pandemic.
I'm
So the month of February,
before
were you okay before the
the
pandemic really hit?
yes, I was.
Okay. So you were kind of developing a new mindset. You weren't talking about it as much, not having
Yes, I was. Exactly right. I wasn't. Now I was still contributing to my 4. I was still doing the things that I was doing, but I wasn't just so focused on you're not gonna have enough money when it comes time to retire. But I was still, paying things, how I do them, but not. I wasn't as stressful about it.
So you probably need to do the challenge again after the pandemic.
Right. Exactly. I need to start it over again, but I'm gonna start it like in June. Oh, this is June. Okay, so I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start it when I get back to work. Just give me a minute. I'll be all right. I'll be there.
No, I mean, because somehow you got to get you, because it doesn't, now, even though Houston got you on board with prepaying your bills, it doesn't sound like he has the same money mindset as you. He's not
Oh,
worried
not at
about not
all.
having enough.
Oh, not at all. Well, you and I talked before. He said, Janet, you can come out. You're not, or both of us could come out. No, we can't. We cannot come out. And but he's like, I think I can. No, you can't.
And the thing is, like we were talking about yesterday, like to me, leaving his, well, government job or corporate job, whatever it is, and your corporate job, doesn't mean that you won't do anything to generate income. Like
You're
myself,
right.
like I still have to generate income. I'm just in a different, I'm not in corporate anymore, which gives me
Right.
more joy.
I agree. I agree. But
So I mean,
like
that's like a separate conversation. Like
yeah,
maybe he's saying you can afford to come out and do something else. Not that you won't do anything.
right. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. And you're not considering that?
Well,
Or you're not
sounds
allowing
like a
him to
good.
consider it. Let me rephrase that. You're not allowing him to consider it.
I am both. I am not considering it, and I am not allowing him to consider it at this time. His ideal of retirement is he just wants to bowl every day. That is not a consideration. That will not bring in any income, although he will enjoy it.
Well, if he does some of those tournaments, it will bring in some income.
Right, I get it. Those are hobbies. No, that.
Oh, I don't know. I just see, a couple of our childhood friends that bowl, and they seem to do pretty well in those tournaments.
Right, and he does. He bowls very well, but I'm not considering. Now, if he wants to do it, he'll do it. But I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in.
Well, y'all are a unit, so I think you have to agree on it.
Right.
Because I mean, like, I've never been married, but like we kind of mentioned yesterday, I think they say that causes, like one of the leading causes of divorce is when people are not on the same page financially.
I agree.
So,
I've never been married either, but right, I can
yeah,
imagine
damn
that.
near married.
Right, but I can imagine people. Years ago when you're younger, you dated somebody and you don't really want to ask questions about their finances. But the older you get, it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna let you bring me down. So we probably need to know about what's going on with each other's money.
I
It
think
just
if
helps.
you get to the point you're talking about whether you're gonna get married, if you're moving in, if you talk about combining your households, it's a discussion needs to be had. If you're just dating somebody, you don't need to know what I have.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I may have worded that wrong. I may have worded it wrong, but I do. You're right. I agree.
No, I had
talking about combining.
Who met this guy on Tinder, one of those dating sites. I'm gonna say Tinder. I don't remember if it was Tinder. And like day 2 or 3, he was asking her about her mortgage and 401k. And I'm like,
wow.
Mm-mm.
Too much information.
Yeah,
Too much information.
I think he's looking for a sugar mama. I told her, I said, why does he need to know? Like, you don't really know him. Why does he need to know that?
Right. What next? My social security number? No, you don't need to
So I feel like, but I
know
think
all of
if you
that.
start getting to the point the relationship is progressing where the two of you are talking about being together, yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
kind of need to know because I've heard horror stories where people didn't have that conversation and one person had a lot of debt and the other one didn't. And then when you get,
Mm-hmm.
you're almost obligated to help that person get out of debt.
Right.
So, yeah, I definitely think so. But that's like, that's pretty much it. I was like, so but that was pretty disciplined to 19 months for 20. I've been seeing that actually more and more lately. So,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's because I'm researching different channels that people have 80, $90,000 worth of debt and they're paying it off in less than 2 years.
I don't know how
So
you
it
do that.
requires a lot of discipline though.
Yeah, I cannot imagine paying $60,000 off at one. I mean, it was, I don't know if it was a struggle, and I still managed to go on vacations because I put so much money up for vacation. But I don't know if I had like 60,000, that kind of debt. I don't like, where do you start when you owe somebody that kind of money?
But
I
and
don't
that's
even
the
know where to
thing. I
start.
think that's what keeps people stuck there on that
Yeah.
hamster wheel because
Mm-hmm.
they can't see themselves out of it. Like,
Exactly.
they don't see the light. But the thing is, and it's not my phrase that you watch my video, so you've heard me say it. It's like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Like I heard this on this woman's channel, and I'm like, yeah, you got to start small. And like with you, like you said, after you put your bonuses, and then you saw it down to 10, then it becomes real in your mind. Like I can do
Exactly.
this. So
Exactly.
I've talked to different people. They don't have that much debt, but they have debt, and they're just in this loop, like because they can't figure out how they're gonna pay it off. Well, you're paying
Right.
$25 a month anyway. So if you cut out, like we'll say with you, for instance, if you didn't buy a pair of shoes this month, then instead of buying
Mm-hmm.
shoes, just send that to the credit card company.
Exactly.
You said you didn't see my weight loss video. That first week when I dropped those 6 pounds, I mean, I'm not naive. It was water weight. I don't care what kind of weight it was. It was six
Exactly.
pounds. And so I was like, I'm going to take my little win because it's a win and it keeps you motivated. Now, had it
Right.
been the opposite, if I had
And you
gained,
gain.
I probably wouldn't have wanted to keep it up because
Right.
I did all that and I gained weight.
I might as well go ahead and eat that apple
I
pie
might as
next
well
week.
eat what
That's
the hell
okay.
I want to eat. So that's why I tell people, because like with you, I have a couple other people that I talk to about finance and different things. And I'm like, you just gotta like, even if it's this small, you just gotta take the win because it encourages you to keep moving. Because when
Yes.
you have 60, I talked to this guy when I was in Miami at a conference, and he had 85,000 in credit card debt.
Wow.
So, I mean, I can only imagine looking at the credit card statements thinking, how the heck, am I going to pay
Right.
85,000? But you got to start. If you don't start, you ain't going nowhere.
Right. It's not gonna go away. That's for sure.
And it may grow depending on what your interest rate is.
Oh, it's gonna
Yeah.
grow.
I tell
It may
people,
grow at a higher rate.
yeah, because I tell people, I remember back in the day, I think before I had kids, I didn't have my children. I had a Sears credit card. And I'm calling them by name. Yes, Sears.
Right. Right.
I
They
told
don't know
somebody
nothing
I
about
would
that.
never ever get another Sears credit card. And back then it wasn't because I was right out of college. So maybe the limit was 500 or something. It wasn't a lot. I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
But when I wasn't working and I couldn't afford to pay them, they would not budge at all. So I end up owing them more
Mm-hmm.
than I charged because the months I couldn't pay is still accruing.
Right.
And even when you start paying again, like you said, if you're only mailing in $25, you're not covering the interest really. So it's still growing.
Exactly.
They were one of the first I paid off because I was like, oh, I got to get this monkey off my back. Like, because it ain't going nowhere and this is growing.
Exactly.
More than I even charged.
Right. But it's so freeing. It's so freeing just knowing that you don't have that kind of debt. Like my car broke down literally Deontay's last semester in grad school. I got off at Outer Drive in 75 and the car just stopped. And I was hurt because I really didn't want a car note. But by that time, I was in a better position to buy me another car, and I was able to pay cash for the car, a new car. What did you?
I said, we've already talked about that. I said, don't do that again. Never.
I know. And me and you and I have talked, the financial investors will say, you could be making your money work better for you. And I get that, and it makes sense. I'm just not there yet.
But then, and that's kind of like, I have no idea how long this has been because I didn't pay attention to when it started. But like, that's a different thing. Like, whether you do the challenge again after the pandemic, because the pandemic, even though we're going back, it's not close to being over, I don't think. So even when you go back to work and you start, like, you have to deal with your mindset, like I told you before, the scarcity, because I've known you your whole life. So I personally can't understand where it comes from. I just don't. It's not for me to understand, but I'm just like, I don't understand why she doesn't have enough. Like, I don't get it.
Right. I don't get it either, Sherry. That's the thing. I don't get it either. It's just something. It wasn't like I grew up deprived of anything. It's just I did grow up in a household where my mother was very financially savvy, and so she had systems for everything. And my father probably just went along with whatever she was saying. So I grew up with her mindset that although I didn't always follow it, I did grow up thinking that you don't always have to spend every dime you got. And so I did it when I was younger, but it started to make more sense the older I got.
Well, I think we all did. I mean, I didn't I didn't really have that in my household, but like out of college, like when I went to college, they weren't soliciting us with credit cards in college. But as soon as I hit like my last semester, senior year, they started to come. Now, when Courtney left for college, they must have did it by age, because they hit her like as soon as she got there,
Right.
And so it started, and they don't have it. When you're that age,
you don't have any money.
It's almost like I don't know if we think it's free money. Like, oh, yeah, I'm going shopping, and you can blow through $500. It ain't gonna take you long, because a lot of times they start the limits really low.
Right.
But it's just like I told you. I mean, a lot of financial people say that about our habits starting with our parents. I just disagree with it, because you're saying like your mother was financially savvy, but it doesn't sound like she had a scarcity mindset. She just was being savvy about how she spent her money.
You're right. That's true.
So that's what I'm saying. So that didn't really come from her. And like I've said in videos, for me, mine didn't come from my mother. Like, when we got older, we made our own choices, and here we are.
We did. You're right. But I think I compare myself to my mother at this age that I am now. But you're right. As I was growing up, I just bought what I wanted. That's what I wanted to do, and so that's how I lived my life. And it wasn't until I
But
had
even
to do
now,
something.
do you think your mother has a scarcity mindset? Does she think it's not enough?
Oh, not at all. My mother said that's her motto. That's what money is for, to be spent.
Like I tell, what mine is, you can't take it.
That's how she feels. Yeah, she thinks like that too.
As far as I know.
Right.
And nobody came back and
right
with me, so I'm gonna stick to that. Take it with you.
Right. I agree.
You do want to leave, like you have one son, I have two daughters and a grandson. Yes, I want to leave them something, but that doesn't mean I'm going to deprive myself while I'm living in order to leave them something.
I agree. But I don't do that. I don't think I deprive myself of anything. The only thing that I want to do is buy shoes and boots and go on vacations. That's it.
You deprive yourself only. The only thing I would think, and I don't know how candid we want to get, but the only thing I would think that you deprive yourself of is that you really want to pursue another career.
Yes, I do.
Forward because you think you don't have enough. I don't know that you deprive yourself of material things.
Okay, that's true. But no, I deprive myself of pursuing something else because I'm afraid. It's the fear that it won't work. And then in the meantime, now I got to go back. It goes back to money, because now I need to go back and pull from an account that I'm not ready to pull from. So it's just fear.
My other saying, you save for a rainy day.
Yes.
It starts to rain, then you pull from the rainy day fund. That's why because if like you save for a reason, for whatever the reason is, that's why you're saving.
Right.
At some point, it's meant to be spent.
Right.
At some point, it is meant to be spent. I mean, you have to determine what day that is. But
Exactly.
as we get older, because now we're closer to 60, you just as close. You ain't quite as close as I am, but you ain't too.
Right. Right. No, I'm not quite as close at all. Remember?
I determined that, yeah, we just gonna let this fall. I determined that, yeah, probably am just as close in age to you as I was Jill. I'm somewhere.
Right. I was getting ready to tell that story that Jill seems to think that you were closer to her age. So I'm going to go with that.
Grade-wise, I was right behind her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're still older, you and Jill. So.
Yeah, I'm still older, but you figure, what are you, 56?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm 57.
I am.
Yeah, so I mean, because one day I thought about it, I was like, well, damn, I am probably just as close in age to them as I was her. I'm kind of in the middle of it, but I was only a grade behind her. But the thing is, like, at this age, and we talk enough that you know my philosophy, there gets to be a point in my life, I'm only going to speak to me, where I think that life is meant to be enjoyed. Like, at some point, you've been through the struggles, you done did this, we both raised kids as single parents, like, we've done all that, and it gets to a point, it's time to do something that we want, be a little reckless if you think you need to be, but, that you enjoy it, because, I mean, nobody's promised, but statistically, we don't have as many years ahead of us as behind us.
Right.
So, I mean, the scarcity thing, nobody can help you with that but you. Like, you have, like with me, like I said, mine was that thing. I was like, okay, I get out of debt. Then I get more debt. Then I get out of debt. Like, where is that coming from? So I had to like couple Jesus with myself on that. Because for a long time, I was like you. I was like, I work every damn day. I should be able to have that.
Exactly.
My motto. And then recently, I was just like, okay, well, this is what I want. And my financial picture it's not all rosy. It's not as picture perfect as I like it. But is it ever going to be like that? Like, is that just an image of it? Like, will it ever really match what I have in my mind it should be? Probably not. So I was like, it's just time to do it. And
I agree.
Like I told you before, I don't have any regrets because I don't know that, years were going by me waiting for it to look like this picture I thought it should look like before I stepped.
Right.
I wasn't really getting close to that picture.
Right. Right.
I
agree.
That takes a little bit to pay off, and this, that, and it just, I was like, okay, like every year, because you figure we're in June, we're halfway through 2020. I mean, the years to me are just rolling by. I mean, they obviously they're not going any faster than they used to be, but they appear to be going faster.
Right.
It seemed like it took me forever to reach 18, but it is taking like now they just
right, exactly. I feel you.
21, it's just like moving really fast. But I think that like I was so the last thing, because we're not gonna harp on this, but I'm just curious because I don't know if you ever told me. Did you actually compare if you hadn't prepaid the bills and invested it? Like, did you do that part of the exercise to see how much interest? I know you sent me a rate one day, but did you actually calculate?
Not really. I mean, I sent you a rate. I did it real quickly, but I know that, I understand that had I just invested that as opposed to prepaying everything, that I would have benefited some kind of way.
Well, I'm not talking about the past because you can't change the past. Like, like going forward. Like as opposed to like doing what the all the gurus say and actually just setting it aside so that you had 6 months to a year. But it's invested. You have it, but it's invested. So you didn't end up doing that.
I didn't do that. No.
but
I did.
But don't pay cash for cars anymore. Now that is because it's not.
But look, now that the cars.
What?
But now that the car is paid for, I don't have to worry about the car. I didn't have to worry about the car note. I paid the car off in 10 months. And I called Honda so much that they were even like, Miss Travis, really, you don't need to call us every day, because I wanted to see what the interest rate was on it. That you could tell like they knew me. And when I finished paying the car off, I had paid them $142 in interest. And I was trying to figure out how I could get less than that. Now this is on a
So you probably
$25,000
have
car.
like a 0.9 rate or something, or 0%.
I had a 1.99.
Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say I think mine is either 1.9 or 2.9, and very little of my car note, my payment goes towards interest. It's not a lot.
Okay.
So
Right. Yeah, it would have only been probably about $1,200.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, why most people say not to do it, it's not just so much the interest, it's as a depreciable asset. So even in 10 months, you probably wouldn't have been able to get what you paid for it. Because I went through that.
Right.
I remember me having that Escort, and because I kicked that car, just could not stay in that car. I didn't want it, I had to get it. And I started trying to get rid of it like 2 or 3 months after I bought it. I got rid of it 6 months later, but I started in about 2 or 3 months. Okay. And they were, we'll say, I don't remember, we'll say 12,000, that I paid 12,000 for it. And I would go places and they were only willing to give me like 7 or 8. And I'm like, I just bought it.
Right. I had that same problem too, but I wasn't trying to get rid of it. So it didn't matter.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but that's why most people say don't do it, because you're buying things, like you're investing, so you get the value of what assets are, and a car doesn't appreciate. Land, if you wouldn't did that with land, I tell people now, people need to stop selling land.
Right.
Appreciate those. But a car, like we're older now, so a car is just a car.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But that, it was good talk. I get it, and you probably more than likely there's no end in sight to the things you're doing. Because
I don't think. I don't see any end in sight, because I just it's as stressful as I get about situations like this and not having enough. On one hand, I do think I have enough, but I don't want to do this much longer, what I'm doing, my job now. I want to do something, like you said, that I enjoy doing. I'm just scared to step out there for fear. I'm for fear of failure.
Well, that's a whole different type of fear, though.
Right.
And you may stumble, you may fall. We won't even get into how many things that I tried and didn't. Because somebody told me once, they was like, I'll give it to you. I was like, oh no, I'm like Indiana Buzzy. Like, sooner or later, I'm going to find what works. And right now, I'm in the space of finding what works.
Good.
So I tell people, my kids mostly, if you read most entrepreneur stories, they failed a whole lot of times before they became famous. And you see them at their level of accomplishment. But before they reach that, most of them fail like a lot. So you may step out and it may not work, or it may take longer to jumpstart it than you thought it should have, or that you anticipated it would. But if you don't step, you're not gonna know. And you don't have to leave the corporate, but if you don't try it, like, you don't know.
Right. And I understand that part of it. I think, maybe I'm just using that as an excuse, but it's really just pretty much about I don't feel like I have enough.
Yeah, that's probably really it.
Because I think now as you said that, it's not so much the fit. There are plenty of things that I've tried and didn't go in the direction that I wanted them to go, or as quickly as I wanted them to go. I just did something else. So I think it's more about, it's my mindset of not having enough, just having to depend on anyone for anything financially.
And I get that, but I still be like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And most people, they just like, I'm like, yeah, well, it either work or it won't, like,
good,
I got a 50-50 chance. And, and I'm like I told you, like, I've just never, the money part of it, it doesn't scare me. I think what scared me more was living a life that I never envisioned for myself. Like what I was living
Okay.
was not the life that I envisioned for myself.
Okay.
That scared me more than the money part of it. Like if
Okay.
I died and that was my story, I wouldn't want that to be my story.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of where I come from. I tell people, I was like if I don't start doing what I always thought would be my life, and that's my story, I wouldn't be happy.
Okay.
And I don't think I had a bad life. It just wasn't the life that I wanted for myself.
Right.
So, and that because you know, money just gets us things that we want. And for me, I'm like, yeah, sooner or later, you know, I'm gonna have it all. That's my thing. Like dream big. Nobody's limiting your dreams but ourselves. And I'm like,
I agree.
big. Like you'll have this and you'll have this too. It might take longer to get you over here, but just keep walking in that direction. Sooner or later, you will
You'll
arrive.
get
I tell people,
there.
if you call me and my number has changed, I have arrived.
I know that's right.
Like
Well,
Chris
don't forget.
called me. She's like, "Oh," I said, "Did you not get the new back number? When you get the new back number, you know."
Right. Well, don't forget about the little people when you get there. Just remember your next door neighbor.
That's right. I ain't gonna forget. Like I said, if you get the text and you get the new back number, you in.
Okay. All right.
Me again, you ain't in.
You out. You out. Okay, that's fair enough. I won't take it personal if you do that.
No, I mean there are people, you know, like there are people on the list. You know, I tell people I'm kind of a ride or die loyal person.
Yeah. Yeah,
As
I
long
am
as you
too.
got my back, I got your back. If I'm
Right.
kind of wishy washy, then I'm like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
you might not
Right.
make that.
You might not make. I heard that.
All right, so like I said, I have no idea. Probably it's been at least an hour, but we're gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna try to get this uploaded today. Hope you know, and we'll see. Maybe
Well, thanks for having me on.
Huh?
I said thanks for having me on. It was a great talk as usual. You know, you can stay on the phone for at least 3 hours, so this had to be condensed at some point.
But that's because we like, and I may not talk to you again for another 6. So you know.
Exactly. You're just making up for lost time.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for coming on. Talk to you
All
later.
right. Talk to you too. Bye-bye.